Hello and welcome to this series of videos on SpagoBI and OpenERP. We are going to look at a real-life application of SpagoBI. We will be looking at how to build a data warehouse for OpenERP, or what today we call Odoo. First, we will learn how to connect to an OpenERP database and create various documents. The one we will start with is called Smart Filter. So what is really a Smart Filter? It is a data filtering engine, and it has several applications in real life that we use it for. So the end product is that you want a user to query various tables in your database, and you don't want him to write queries. So you create a form that has parameters that the user might want to look at, and then the user will select the forms that he wants, and when he clicks on show data, the data that he wants will be displayed on his screen. So let's see how it looks. If you look at your screen, we have a sales invoice smart filter. So what this sales invoice smart filter does is that it connects to our OpenERP database and looks at all open and paid invoices. Alright, so what we have done in the smart filter is that we allow the user to select the company from where they want to see the sales invoices. So they can either select all companies, or they can select a specific company within your OpenERP database. Okay, so let's just select this particular company and see if it has any data. So we'll click on show data so that we see if our OpenERP has data. So you see that we have grouped our data by the company name, and then also we have grouped after the company, we have grouped it by the product sales currency. Okay, so within the company of Odoo.org, either we can look at data, sales data in USD, or we can look at sales data in Euro. So let's just select the USD, double click on it so that we drill down. So that is one other useful feature of our smart filter forms. You can drill down within the groups. Okay, so if you look at the USD, you see that we have sales for 2015, and then the month, the date is 23rd. Okay, we have the invoice at the amount, so these are in USD, and then the item that was sold. We have the company name, then the invoice state, whether it is open, paid, and then the product sales date. So these are sample OpenERP database that we will allow you to connect to. So if I go back to the form, you see that we have filtered by the company. Okay, so we can also filter by the sales currency. Now if I select Euro, so this means that I want company data in Odoo.org, but I only want sales currency in Euro. Okay, so if I click on show data again, it should not bring me data for USD. So you can see that now the grouping is only for the Euro, and when I click on Euro, I will only get the sales data for the Euro. So you see that the product sales is only for the Euro. So back to the form again. So you can see that these are static filters. Everything have been predefined for you, and you only need to select. So I'll just remove that. Now if I go back down here, I have other types of filters. For example, I can select the year that I want. Okay, so here I'm allowed to select various values. Okay, and then I select the month that I want, and then I can even select multiple dates. For example, if I want data for 23rd and 25th alone, I select that, and then here now I have a dynamic filter. So if I wanted only to see the paid invoices, I can just click enter paid, and then I also have groupings. I can group my data by the company name, and then also I can group them by the product sales currency code. So now if I click on show data, so that will now allow me to see data in more details. So now let me look at the USD. Okay, so what we had selected is the year, the month, and the date. So we only wanted data for 25th and 23rd, and then we wanted to see only paid invoices. So you can really group your data, you can drill down as you have seen, and perform various operations with your smart filter forms. Okay, so as I was saying that smart filters are used in various ways. So the first thing that we use smart filter for is to build inquiry forms. So we have seen that you can build an inquiry form similar to what you have on your screen, and we have demonstrated that in your inquiry form you can allow users to view your data using various parameters. Some are static, like this one you can predefine. Some are static but open, and then some are dynamic, okay, where somebody can enter their own values. So that is the first thing that you can do with your smart filter. You can build an inquiry form. Number two, you can filter the data as you have seen. So you can filter your data by any column in your database. For example, here we have filtered by the company name, by the sales currency, by the year, the month, and the date. Then number three, you can group your results as you have seen. So here we have grouped our results by the company name and the product sales currency. And then number four, another thing that you can use smart filters for is to drill down into details about your group. We have also seen how to do that. In that, when you show your data, you can double click on the grouping, and then within those groupings, like for example, if I wanted to see sales data for our euro, so I can drill down on this grouping for the euro, and then I'll be able to view my data in the euro. Okay, so those are the various options that you can use with smart filter. So in this lesson we want to demonstrate how to build your own smart filter database and application. So what's the first thing that you need to do? There's some resources that you will need. So I will go to learn-spagobi.com. So go to that website. Once you've gone to learn-spagobi.com, scroll down to lesson number 10, smart filter. Okay, so there are some resources that you will need to download from there. So just log in. I'll log in there. Okay, so once I have logged in, click on resources, and then inside resources there is this database resource.txt. Download it and save it in a place in your database, in your file system. So mine, I have put it in a folder called QBE. So I have my database resources. It's a very important file and we will use it to connect to our database. So that is the first thing that you need to do. Then once you have downloaded your resources, you need now to check the location where your database is stored. So what we will be doing is that if you go on your top page in learn-spagobi.com, you see that we have these learning resources. So we have OpenERP or Odoo server. So I'll just open this in new tab. So this is the OpenERP server that we will be using. Okay, so here it is, and we will give you the password and the username and the password. They are in that file that you have downloaded. And then also you will need an OpenERP or Odoo database. So again, if I open this, okay, if I open this and I click here, we will need to log into this database so that we use it to query our data. Again, the username and password are in that file that we have downloaded. Okay, so I think we are set and we are about to start. So we'll just go and open SpagoBI Studio so that we can create a connection to this database that is residing in the cloud. So let's do that. Once you've opened your SpagoBI Studio, the first thing that we need to do is to create a new project. So we just go and create a new project. This new project, we will call it OpenERP Smart Filter. Okay. So just say finish. So once you've created your OpenERP Smart Filter, go to resources and create a connection to your server. So I'll right click and say new server. So my server name here, I'll call it OpenERP, and then URL, give the URL, and then my username, then my password. Okay, let's test the connection. So it's successful. Click on finish. Okay, now you have created a connection to your server. Next, what you need to do is to create a data source connection to the OpenERP server that is running on the cloud. So right click here on database connections and then you say new. Then click on generic JDBC, right, and then give it a name. So we'll just call this OpenERP. So that is our connection. Then you say next. Alright. So the first thing that you need to do is that you need a driver for PostgreSQL. This OpenERP runs on PostgreSQL, so we will need a driver for it. Okay, and this driver we can get it from, there is one that comes with SpagoBI, but it's a bit old. So just go to this website. It's over there in your database resources. So go to that website and open a new screen. Okay, so once you go to that website for PostgreSQL, double click on, click on Postgres driver version 9.4. So it's the latest driver. So once you click there, it will download and then save this jar file in a folder in your operating system. So my own, I have clicked and saved it on JDBC folder. So this is the driver. Okay, so how do you connect the driver to your database? Click on this file here, new driver definition. Okay, then go to jar list. So select this first. Then when you go to jar list, click on add jar or zip. Then go to the location where you have stored your JDBC driver. So double click on it. Then go to properties. So under properties, you need to give the connection URL. So what's your connection URL? The connection URL to the OpenERP database is this one. So copy up to that point and then put it in your connection URL. So this simply means that you are connecting to a PostgreSQL database. This database is in this IP address. It's a public IP address that you can use. And then this is the port where the database is running. And this here is the name of the database. And then the database name, again you go there to your file. The database is called Odoo. So you click there. And then you put that under your database name. Then the driver class. So for the driver class, you select org.postgresql.driver and then you put it there. Click on this button, put it there. Then next you need the user ID that you'll need to connect to PostgreSQL. So user ID is SpagoBI. And then you click on OK. Then put your password here. So the password again is in the file. It keeps changing, but the most up to date you'll get it in your file. So you put the password, click on save password, and then you test your connection. Okay, so when you see being succeeded, it means you've connected to the database. So these are the properties, then you just select finish. So we have finished connecting to our data source. Next, we will need to build a business model. So right click on business model, then say new model. Alright, so what name do we need to give to this model? We can call it OpenERP sales. Okay, so that's the file name, and the model name we can give the same. Okay, so because we don't want to put spaces in file names, we can just remove that space and call it OpenERP sales, and then you say next. So remember, the model should be stored in the business models folder. So click next. Now we need to select the connection to the database that we just created. So just click on OpenERP. So that is our connection. And then under the schema, click and select the public schema, then you say next. Right. So what are the tables that you will need for this lesson? You will need several tables. The first table that you will need is the table that contains the account information. Okay, so your OpenERP has several accounts, and the account information is stored in the account table. Select that one. Then next, you need information about the various companies that you have. So again, you'll go to the table RES company, select that one, and then you will also need a table that contains the reports. So we'll need the table report Odoo sales, so select that one. So those three tables is what we will use. Again, under a physical model table, select all of them, then click on finish. So now it will generate your physical model from your tables that you have selected. So here we are with our physical models. So we will not do anything. The only thing that we'll need to do is to change maybe the names of the tables. So I'll click on this table. I'll just change the name to sales, and then this table I'll change the name to account, and then this table I'll change the name to company. Okay, let me just save my work. So once I've done that, now let me go to the database so that we see how these tables look. So again, to go to your database, what you need to do is to go to, let me close all these windows. What you need to do is go to learn.spagobi.com and then click on this link, OpenERP/Odoo database. So this is the public database you'll be using. Then click on PostgreSQL. The username and the password are in your file. So for now we'll use username SpagoBI, and the password again is also SpagoBI. We just want to see what kind of data we have in these tables. Alright, so if I click on the database of Odoo, and then if I go to tables, so the first tables that we had selected was account. If you go back to your SpagoBI Studio, so this first table was account, you can see there. So what does account table contain? So if I click on account there, and then I scroll down and then I say browse, what kind of data does it have? Okay, so the first column in that table is the ID, the account ID, then some connection to the other tables, and then we have the account code. It contains the account code, the date when the account was created, whether you can reconcile this account. Then we have a connection to user type, write UID, create UID, and all that. We also have the write date. We have the currency ID for the account. We have the name of the account. We have the label. We have the currency code, currency mode, etc. So that's the account table. So the other table that we have selected is the RES company. So what does it contain? So just scroll down and check for RES. RES company. So what does RES company contain? So again, if I scroll down and browse, okay, we can see that this contains the companies that we have in our OpenERP. So we have the company called SGL, another company called Server-Side Corp, another company called Ubuntu.org. Okay, so and then we have the details about the company. And then lastly, the other one that we have selected is a view. So if you go to your views, you see that we have a view called Report Odoo Sales. So what does it contain? Again, I'll browse. So this table, or this view, it It contains the invoice, date of the invoice, the year, the month, the date, amount of the invoice, price, the price unit, the quantity. We have the name of the item that was sold, the company where that item was sold, product currency code, and then the company currency code, the company name, period ID, etc. So those are the three tables that we want to use. Now that we understand how to look at the tables, let's go ahead with our model. Okay, so as I had said, next what we need to do, once you've created your model, you need to tell it which columns in your sales table will contain the actual values that you want to measure. So here the actual values that we want to look at are the amount total. Okay, so I'll click on it, and then under the type I change it from attribute to a measure. It's very important you do that. Then again, the price unit, I want also to measure that. The quantity, very important we measure that. Right, then the amount total in company currency, we also measure that. Once you have done that, you leave everything else as they are, so we'll just save. Then under business models, right click here and then upload data mart and model on server. Upload data mart and model on server. So for the select category of model, you leave it like that, optional. Then click on deploy. Then you need to select data source for QBE document. So remember that on your server also, you need to create a connection to your ERP database, the one that's on the cloud, and then click on deploy. So it will tell you successfully uploaded sources. So what is that connection that we have selected? If you go to your SpagoBI, under your data sources, you should also create a data source to the OpenERP application. So the label, just give it ERP, description ERP, dialect is PostgreSQL, same things that we have used in our data in our studio. Subtype JDBC, the same URL we have used, same user, same password, and the same driver. Okay, so that is the connection that we have used to connect. Now if you go to your BI admins folder, you should be able to find the model. So here it is, the OpenERP sales. So don't click on it, just highlight and click on this I button. So once you click on that I button, under the engine type, just change it from free inquiry to free inquiry smart filter, because we want to build a smart filter. Okay, so next, once you have done that, we need to save it. So I'm going to save it in custom documents and then click on save. Once you've saved it, now we need to build our template for the form. So click on under template build, click here. Okay, now it will open for you your form designer. So you can see that these are the tables that you had selected. So if I just click on sales, so that I show you some differences, you see that any column that have A is an attribute. So these are the columns that we did not select for measures, so they'll all have A, so now they're attribute. But any column that has an hash like this one means it's a measure. So this one, this, and this. So that is why it was important for you to select any column that you want to use as a measure. Okay, so let us create some queries. Now I'll select the date of the invoice and drag it here. the year name, I drag it, the month, then the date. So I'll just alias the columns. So this one I'll change it, date of invoice is okay. Instead of year name, I'll just call it year. This one is month. This one I'll just call it date. Okay, then I also need the amount total. So I'll just change it from amount total to amount in sales currency, because we can sell in dollars, or we can view the amount in the company currency. For example, the company Odoo.org have the currency Kenya shilling as its company currency. So even if you sell in dollars, you'll have to convert it into Kenya shilling. So for you to do that, you'll use this amount. So I'll just change that to amount in company currency. I think that should be sufficient. So we'll just click on preview. So you can see our data. We have the date, the year, the month, the date, amount. So this is the amount in sales currency, and then amount in company currency. So I think one more thing that we can put here is the sales currency, so that we know which currency we are dealing with. So just select your sales currency, the sales currency code. So we'll use this one. So here I'll just call it sales currency. So that's the alias that I will use. Again, I'll preview. Okay, so this is our sales currency in euro. For example, this item for invoice, this invoice number, the amount in sales currency was 3,210 euros, but converted to our company currency, it's become 332,010 Kenya shillings. So this is the amount in company currency, which is in Kenya shilling, and this is the amount in sales currency, which is in euros. So you sell in euros, but you have to report in Kenya shilling. So that's why we have this. Now that we have our query, okay, now that we have our query, next we need to create a form. Okay, so we click on form designer here. We need to click on form designer, and then under selected fields, click here. It will display all the selected. All right, so we have several types of filters. The first filter that we will look at is what we call a static closed filter. So a static closed filter is a filter you design for the user, and the user cannot change it. The user cannot change the value. The only thing that he can do is to click on that value, and the value that you have defined for that filter will be passed to the database. So the first group that we are going to create is company. So that's the first group that we are going to create, and it will be a radio button. So we click here. So this filter will be called company. So this will be a radio button, so that the user cannot select more than one company to report on. So he can only select a report of one company. So here you can see that we have enable single selection is yes. So if you enable this one, it means it becomes a radio button. But if you say no, it means it becomes a checkbox. So since we only want one company to be selected, we'll select on single selection. So it becomes a radio button. So that is the group. So once you do that, you've created your group. Click on add here, so that you can add now individual filters. So we'll start with the first filter. We'll call it the first company, which is Odoo.org. So which field do we want to map this filter to? So we want to map it into our company. Did we select company? You can see that here we did not select company. So that means we'll cancel and go back to our data, so that we can add so that we can add our company. So we'll add the name of our company. Let me preview again. Sorry, that's the name of the company. So here we have the company name. So we added the company name. So we'll go back to form designer. Alright, so now under company, let's just add, here I wanted to add the company Odoo.org. The field that we want to add is company name. The operator here is equals to, and the value, this is the value that will be sent to the database when somebody clicks on this filter. So the value that we want to be sent to the database is Odoo.org. So apply. So you can see that's the first filter. So it means that if somebody clicks here, the value that will be sent to the database is Odoo.org. So let's just preview it. Let's preview our form. So right now our form have it has two filters for the company. All means everything, and then you have Odoo.org. So this one was put for us by default, and this is what we are interested in. So let's click on Odoo.org and click on show data. We want to see if it will only give us data for Odoo.org. So if you scroll down, you can see that under company name, all the data is for Odoo.org. So let's go back to the form and click on designer. Now let's add the other companies. Click on add. If you look at your data in the database, you see that we have various companies. So under the company, if I go back to company table and then I browse the data, you can see that I have several companies. So the other company that I need to add is called SpagoBI. So I'll go back here. The company name is that. Again, the field that we are mapping it to is company name. Then the operator is equals to, and then the value again that we want to pass to SpagoBI. The value that we want to pass to our database is that. Then we click on apply. Again, when we preview, and then we select this company and we show data, you see that it will not return any data because this company have not made any sales. The SpagoBI have not made any sales. Okay, so we go back to designer, then add the last company in that table, which is SGL. So click on add. The name is SGL. The field, again we map to company name. The operator equals to, and then the value is SGL. So we click on apply. So we are done with our static closed filters. The next filter that we want to add is still a static closed filter, but now instead of this we want a checkbox where somebody can select various values. So let's add another group. We can call it currency. We can call it sales currency. So now, instead of enabling single selection, let's say no. Okay, so we'll have several selections, and the Boolean operator here, instead of and, let's say or. Okay, so as long as somebody selects whichever value, it will display. Then we click on apply. Okay, so under sales currency, let's click on add. So here we have several currencies. So the first one will be called euro. We will map it to sales currency. The operator here will be equals to, and then the value again will be euro. So click on apply. What do I mean? If I go back to our database and then we look at the view where that report is coming from, then when I browse that data, okay, so you can see that we have several sales, but the sales currency can either be Euro, USD, Euro, USD. So what we are saying is that if somebody wants to see sales in Euro, they'll select. If they want to see the sales in USD, they'll select. If they want to see all sales, they can select both Euro and USD. So that's what we are doing here. So if somebody selects Euro, they'll only see data for Euro. If they want to see data for USD, we have to add that filter. So we'll say USD. The operator is equal, we'll map it to sales currency, and then the operator will be equals to, and then the value will be USD. Then you click on apply. So this again is a static filter, static closed filter, but now this is a checkbox. So again, let's preview that. Now let's select all companies. We want to see data for all companies, but only for USD. All data for all companies, but only USD. So it will return for all companies, but you can see that only sales currency in USD have been returned. So let's go back to the form, and this is a good time to save our template, just in case we lose our data. So now we are done with our static closed filters. Next, let's go to static open filters. Okay, so our static open filters, what we want here is that we want to allow the user to select multiple values in a drop down. Okay, now the first thing that we want the user to select is the year of the sales. Okay, and can the person select multiple years? Let's say yes, the person can select multiple years. So maybe we can view the sales for the last 5 years. Okay, so we want to allow the user to view the sales for the last 5 years. The next is the month. Can the user select the month of the sales? Yes. How many months can the user view? The user can view the last 4 months. So let's put it 3 months so that it's a quarter. And then next, can the user view the date of the sale? Yes, the user can view the date of the sale, and he can view sales in a month, nine sales in a month. Click on apply. So let's see how this works. If we go to preview, okay, so we want to view data for all companies in all currencies, but now for the year, in our sample database we don't have many years. I have just created data for 2015, then I've only created data for 1 month. Okay, but I've created for multiple dates. So let's say that we want to view data for 23rd, for 1st and 22nd. So 23rd, 1st and 22nd. Click on show data. Okay, so first we had selected all currencies, and we had selected all companies, and we wanted to see the data for 22nd, 23rd and 1st, for 2015 and that particular month. So that's how that kind of filter works, static open filters. Then lastly, we also have another type of filter called dynamic filters. If I go back to my table, you see that I have under state here, an invoice can either be open, which means it has not been paid, or it can be paid. So that's an invoice that have been paid. So let's add another filter where we can select whether an invoice have been paid or is still open. Okay, so we will need that states field. So we can see that we have not put it here. Okay, so I'll go back to QBE, then I'll go back to designer. Now I need the state. So I'll click on state and add it in my query editor. Okay, so let me just preview that data. Let me see. So we have both open and paid. So I go back to form designer, and then under dynamic filters I'll refresh this data, then select state and drag it in dynamic filters. Okay, so don't drag, click here, add dynamic filter group first. So here I'll call it invoice state, and the operator is equals to again. Then now I'll drag the state field to my group. Okay, so let me preview. So again I'll select data for all companies, all currencies for the year 2015. Then I select the month. Then I want to select for 23rd, 8th. Let me just select and 22nd. And then now under invoice, you can see that you don't select, but you have to manually type. So I want to see all paid invoices for those dates, and then I'll say show data. So it will show me data for those dates, but I'm only interested in paid data. Okay, so I'll go back to the form. Lastly, I want to see how to group this data. So I want to group my data first by the company name. So every company should have its own report, and then by the currency. Okay, so I want to group my data by the currency, which is the sales currency. So I'll drag it here again. So let me preview. Okay, so I want to see data for all companies, all currencies. So I'll not select anything under here so that it returns all. Again, I'll not select anything under invoice state, but I'll just click on show data. Okay, so you can see that it has grouped by company name and then the sales currency, company name, sales currency. So let me just drill down on the euro. So it shows me data for the euro. Okay, so that's how you are going to create your forms, and also how you are going to do your smart filters. So as an assignment, what you will need to do is that create a similar form, but now don't group by the euro or the currency, group by the company name and the state of the invoice. So can you just group by the state of the invoice and your company name? Now that we have designed our form, we need to save it. So you save the template. Once you've saved the template, now if you exit here, and you click so remember we had saved it under custom documents, and so here it is, OpenERP sales. Now that if you open your document, your form should be ready for use. So you can just give it a try. Then we want to see paid, then show you data. Drill down to USD. Okay, so there are several things that we can do with this data now. We can export it to PDF, XLS, CSV, RTF. Okay, so let's just try PDF. So here we can see that it has exported to PDF. Okay, so we have the date, the year, the month, amount sales, amount in company, the currency, etc. So you can always export your data to any of those various forms.